The voice of the billionaire boomed across the elegant restaurant, not just loud, but powerful enough to make every fork freeze midair. A chill seemed to run down the spine of the place. But what no one, not even the well-dressed diners with their practiced smirks, expected was how calmly the waitress would respond. And how, in that moment, her words would pull the air straight out of the room. It was a rainy Tuesday night, the kind where clouds hung heavy and footsteps echoed softer. Veronica had just started her shift at Elysian Table, a luxurious spot that reeked of money and power, the kind of place where a single appetizer could cost more than her weekly groceries. Here, customers didn't just order food, they ordered flawlessness, smiles that never cracked, service that bent over backward, and a staff that never, ever slipped. At 24 years old, Veronica had already survived enough difficult guests to write a memoir. She'd seen snobs, flirts, critics, and complainers, and had learned to face them all with polite resilience. But nothing had prepared her for him. Mr. Carson Hale. A name that floated like myth through boardrooms, echoed in Ivy League classrooms, and sent restaurant managers scrambling. He wasn't just rich, he was legendary, infamous. A media tycoon known for firing CEOs mid-meeting and belittling servers like it was a sport. So when he stepped into Elysian that night, the atmosphere shifted. He didn't have to speak. His mere entrance sent a ripple through the restaurant. The hush that followed him wasn't requested. It was demanded. He walked in with his signature air, that overconfident stride, the slight smirk that told you he knew the price of everything and the worth of nothing. Veronica saw her name on his table. Of course. Her luck. But she straightened her posture, took a breath, and walked to him. At first, everything ran like clockwork. Orders taken smoothly. Wine poured perfectly. She even remembered his odd request. Lemon wedges, no seeds, ever. And she nailed it. Things seemed under control. Until the steak. The moment she placed the filet mignon in front of him, the temperature in the room dropped a few degrees. "This is not medium rare," he barked, slamming the plate with enough force to jolt the glasses and silence nearby chatter. Utensils paused. Conversation halted. "I'm truly sorry, sir," Veronica said, her voice calm, her hands already moving to replace the dish. But he wasn't finished. Not even close. "You really think this is acceptable?" he sneered, voice rising with every word. "I pay thousands to dine here, not to be served like some freshman at a greasy college diner." Gasps echoed. Heads turned. It was no longer a private complaint, it had become a spectacle. Veronica stood still. Her cheeks flushed, heart racing, but her eyes never dropped. She inhaled slowly. Her voice, when it came, was steady, clear, and almost gentle. "I treat every guest with respect, Mr. Hale," she said, not blinking. "Whether they're enjoying a sandwich or a steak. You're more than welcome to do the same." The room didn't just fall quiet, it froze. A fork hovered in midair. Even the pianist missed a note. Carson Hale, a man who devoured boardrooms, blinked, speechless. Veronica didn't wait for his reaction. She picked up the plate with quiet grace, turned, and walked toward the kitchen with a kind of dignity no tip could ever buy. Inside, her hands shook. The plate rattled slightly as she set it down. The head chef looked at her with wide eyes, waiting for drama, but she just nodded and kept moving. No tears. No breakdown. Just focus. All she wanted was to finish her shift and catch the last bus home. Back at table 6, Carson Hale sat still and strangely silent. His entourage, usually full of ego and echo, avoided his eyes. No one dared say a word. This was a man who owned conversations. But now, he sat in silence with only his thoughts. And then a memory, one he hadn't visited in years. A tiny diner, cold winter night. A much younger Carson, broke and broken, dropping a tray on a wealthy man in a crisp suit. The man had shouted, loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear. Carson had never even gotten the chance to apologize. He remembered the sting in his face. The shame. The vow he made that night, to never be powerless again. And now, he realized he'd become that man. The one who crushed others just because he could. 15 minutes passed. Then Veronica returned, composed as ever, and gently placed a new plate in front of him. Medium rare, she said softly. No sarcasm. No edge. Just simple, elegant professionalism. He stared at her for a moment too long, and then said something no one expected. Thank you. And he meant it. That night, Mr. Hale didn't raise his voice again. He ate slowly, quietly, and with each bite, his eyes followed her, not to intimidate, but to observe. The way she worked, the kindness in how she handed menus, the patience with the elderly couple at table 9. The bread she slipped to the young dishwasher behind the counter, like she knew he hadn't eaten. When he asked the manager about her, he found out more than he expected. 2 jobs. Night nursing school. Supporting her little brother. Never late. Never complained. When Carson Hale left, he didn't tip. He left an envelope. Veronica found it after clearing the table. Her name was written neatly on the front, almost too neat. Her heart dropped. She expected a complaint. But when she opened it, everything stopped. It wasn't a complaint. It was a cashier's check. Not for $100. Not $1,000. $50,000. She blinked, rubbed her eyes. Read it again. No note. No message. Just her name and the number that could erase years of struggle. She ran to the manager, voice shaking. Did Mr. Hale say anything? The manager looked confused. Just smiled, he said. Said the food was great. Veronica stood there, stunned. She turned toward the door, like he might still be there. But he was gone. No applause. No spotlight. Just a quiet exit, after changing someone's life forever. That night, in her tiny apartment, she sat at the kitchen table. The check lay next to overdue bills, her dog-eared nursing textbook, and a photo of her brother. She cried, not from sadness, but relief. And across town, in a penthouse bathed in silence, Carson Hale sat alone. No spreadsheets. No calls. Just reflection. He thought of her words. Of how she didn't yell back. Didn't beg. Didn't break. She just spoke. And somehow, her calm sentence had hit him harder than any insult ever could. It wasn't just the food that had been served that night. It was a lesson.